Well, I'm sitting with Marco Argenti, who is the Senior Vice President Developer and Marketplace for Nokia Corporation. Thanks for coming on and doing this, Marco. I heard you during your keynote for this conference talk about the difference between the app ecosystem and the app economy. Why don't we start with that? What's the difference between those two? And why are you stuck on app economy?
The difference is actually an opportunity. I think the app economy is the next phase and the next evolution of the ecosystem. Once the ecosystem matures, once the ecosystem becomes more profitable for developers, once the ecosystem becomes more local. In fact, I think we're actually right at the beginning of a new phase of content distribution, of content consumption, and of monetization for developers, to the point that I like to refer to this new opportunity as an economy, because at the center of this opportunity is the ability for developers to monetize and to actually reach more consumers locally than they've ever done before.
So the whole emphasis of that is, people have talked about the app ecosystem being broad and all-encompassing, but you're really focusing on the local concept of this very, very, very localized app ecosystem.
Yeah, and it's a good mix between a number of experiences and titles and apps, which are generally like global blockbusters that everybody really wants to consume. Some can be some of the games blockbuster, like Angry Birds, for example, which we just ported to our Series 40 phones, for example. So really broadening the reach to any of our consumer segments. But then once you go beyond those titles, you realize that there is still a largely untapped opportunity of a long tail, which can be very thick and very rich. And that long tail is all local. And why do I say that? Because once you go beyond things that everybody wants, because they're really the basic needs, then the tastes and the consumption patterns and the desires and what people really want are very, very different from country to country. And when you attack that, to attack that opportunity, you need to understand those differences and then cater to those differences in order to turn them into opportunities.
So I guess that comes down to the question about how do app developers get found in this space, because it's very, very broad.
Yeah.
I mean, there are millions of applications now and going to be, and when you're competing on a global scale, you get washed away in all of those applications. So does this facilitate that? Allow developers to get
because
found?
the discovery mechanism actually changes and shifts from a catalog model where you have lists of top 20, top 25, top 30 or whatever, to a discovery which is about where you are, what device you're using, which country you're on, and then that determines the content that you can see. For example, one of the keys to the success of our Nokia Store, who now is distributing over 10 million applications per day, is the fact that every time we present a consumer with a list, that list is tailored to their specific context. And because of that, it's essentially like running multiple stores which are interconnected, and so therefore, in any of those stores, there can be an opportunity for local developers to emerge. And that's what's happening today. The next phase is when people start to actually share content with each other. We've enabled side loading, we've enabled sharing of content between people by recommending and so forth. And the social discovery, because it happens to people that are generally close to you, opens up even further opportunities, because at that point each person is different. They almost have their own their own specific store which caters to their need, because that's what their friends are bringing to them. And that gives you the next level of an opportunity, because then at that point anybody, small or large, can really emerge, because they can basically target a specific need.
So there are always going to be worldwide blockbusters,
yes,
as we say.
Absolutely.
There are applications that are just downloaded by kind of a worldwide viral nature, like Angry Birds or Cut the Rope or a lot of games. But this allows for those local developers to shine locally.
That's right.
To drive it through a social engagement.
That's right.
To bring it to the top.
Yeah. And if you look at this long tail, what really happens is that instead of going down really steeply to like having most of the downloads happening in the top 10 and then almost nothing, that long tail becomes really thick, because it's really the sum of a lot of tails that are actually tailored to the specific local needs. And so in that part of the long tail, there's a completely untapped opportunity, which though needs to be addressed by understanding the context, by understanding the local needs, by understanding the local barriers.
So this is unique to the Nokia Store? This is something that you guys have implemented that's different from the other stores that are out there?
This has been our philosophy since the beginning, because we thought that one of the key strengths of Nokia is the fact that we operate with physical presence and real offices and real people in so many countries around the world, and the same way we localize our offering in terms of variants or in terms of the offering of our device. We localize the offering in terms of content. Applying this formula on the content is actually something that has really been driving the growth of the Nokia Store. Every time we add, for example, a new language, every time we tell developers to translate their descriptions, to put, for example, a special characteristic that might be particularly well received in a specific country. So we had a developer who wanted to distribute in Turkey, and he decided to, we worked with them to make the experience more culturally close to the country. So he changed the shapes and of certain objects. He actually changed the language of the people. He changed the characters a little bit. And once he put this local flavor in his app, his downloads went up like 10 times. And there are so many examples. For example, in Italy, someone that wants to sell a murder mystery. If the cover of the book, of the screenshot, is yellow, the conversion goes up over 2 times. Why? Because in Italian, murder mystery is called yellow, because it's just those things. But there are millions of those little nuances, and the effect on the conversion is tremendous. Introduction of mobile billing, operator billing. 2.5 to 3 times more transactions overnight. And right now we're really on a roll there, 134 connections and growing. And our closest competitors have 8. And they of course don't really need that if you want to just push the global blockbusters, because there's a certain percentage of people that have credit cards, they read the same blogs, they think in a similar way. But then once you go beyond that, then you really need to open it up and really removing all the other barriers.
Well, listen, Marco, I'm excited about it as well. I know that 2011 was the year of mobile. 2012 is going to be even the greater year of mobile. Again, I really appreciate you coming here and doing this with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.